Let's go ahead and set up the settings so that we can create our first FBA batch on RoboLister. Initially, I'm going to show you how the setup works, how the main settings are set up, and then I'm going to create a single batch and going over a few details there. So from the main website address, captainscan.com, you would want to click on links and then RoboLister dashboard. On this page, you would see a list of your batches. We're going to ignore this. You're new, you don't have any batches. On the left side, you're going to hover, click on settings on top. We're going to start from left to right. Cross-listing, ignore that. That is for MF operations at the moment. We're going to start with the Amazon account tab. Under this tab, you would want to select your marketplace and then click on that marketplace. If I'm not mistaken, might not show up, so not a problem. Just click on Add Marketplace. We are going to get permission from Amazon to access your account so that we can list on your behalf. So we're going to click Add Marketplace. It's basically telling you what's going to happen on the next page. Yes. Over this page, we have a bunch of options. At this time, Seller Dash is temporary on hold for maintenance. So we're going to skip 2, 3, and step 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to select our marketplace, US, and then click on Add. I'm not going to do it, but when you click on Add, it'll take you to Amazon Seller Central, a couple of next, accept, blah, 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 and you're back here, and it's all set up. Then we're going to when you see under authorized markets, when you see US, you're good to go, or Canada, or whatever you're going to use, then you're good to go. And go ahead and close the tab. So we're going to go back to the settings. It'll refresh itself. Then we go on your Amazon account. Now you got to make sure the marketplace is selected. For FBA, you want to set up, enter your address. This is just a test account, but you would want to enter name, address, and everything here. First, you would click on new address. I mentioned that. I forgot to mention that part. Click that, enter it in, and set it as default. Just to save your progress as you're moving forward, you can once in a while you can just click on save, but you can also do it at the end. On the next tab, there's MF, and then there's tickets. We're going to ignore these. These are for the folks that are doing MF operation, and there's a separate video on how you create your first MF batch. We're going to go to printers. For printers, here's one benefit of using us versus others. I believe we have one of the few that have their own printer application. So you would want to actually download the printer application for Mac, Windows, install that first time. After that, you don't have to open it when you restart your computer anytime after that. It'll automatically come up. And once you do that, if it's your first time installing that and running it, you probably don't see anything under the printers, no printer names. What you gotta do is refresh the page and then go back to printers, and then that'll show up. That printer name is that will show up. Over here, what do you want to do is select your printer name, the label size you have. If it doesn't print correctly, there are a few things you can do. Landscape, change that to yes or no. Under show advanced, if the image is if what's printing is too large, you can play with this number. This is like zero point 0.8. You can just make it 0.5. If it's small, you can make it larger. And the next thing is paper size. If none of that works, you would want to click on paper size and select the size that matches your label. Right. So sometimes this is, for example, in millimeters. This is what the printer advertises. Not our problem. So you would actually have to find the matching size that matches your label size here. You select it and you do the test print FBA to see how it looks like. And for your reference, let me see if I can pull up. Here we go. This is the label that should print. So this is bad quality. Ignore this. It's just in a screenshot. You would want to have the title condition, and then the ASIN on the label. And if let's say you don't have them, you could make sure the label size is correct. Let's say you have the barcode, but you don't have these numbers, or some of it are not showing. Then either your label size, paper size is wrong, or just the font size is too large. Just make it smaller. That's about it for the printer setup. We're gonna go to pricing tab. For pricing tab, most people don't mess with min and max rules. We give you a lot of options. You can actually, if you don't know what it is, it's fine. You don't have to set that up. But technically, what this does is by setting your min and max, you're limiting Amazon from by mistake pricing your item higher or lower than specific numbers. This is usually for people that have smart or automatic repricers. I would say for now, if you don't know what it is, just set it to disabled. And then we're going to look at the pricing rule section. This is the pricing rule, the initial pricer. When as you're listing, we set a price for you based on your rules, however you prefer. So you see the pricing rule, there are a bunch of options here. Default price is the simplest of all. You just set a default price. If you want, you have a repricer that it will take over. This is what you want to use. Match price, it matches the price by a specific value here. And then there's robo pricing, which I would recommend you if you are doing books. There is a default trigger for books. I would recommend you using that. It prevents a lot of errors like high pricing error and stuff like that. It's good. It prices your books pretty smart from the start. And there's a tutorial here. If you click on that, it'll take you to YouTube to get that done. The listers tab is for folks that have multiple employees. They want to add their name into their SKUs. So that's where, if you want to add that, it's optional. Suppliers. If you buy from Goodwill, Target, Walmart, you want to add the abbreviation here so you can include that inside your SKUs. Again, optional. Under condition notes, you would want to click on add new preset and then add different conditions and start writing whichever you feel it's necessary, or you can just use whatever you see on that screen and modify it and go from there. And then after you click that, you click on save as default. Then we're going to go to the SKU tab. This is an important tab. Specifically, a few of the fields. When you start, there's nothing here. You would want to click on add new preset. I like to name it FBA 1, so I have one preset for FBA and one for MF. We're setting up FBA, so you would just put down FBA 1, and I'm actually going to show that. So let's say FBA 2 because I already have one. And then you're going to start from adding some fields in here. So as an example, I added source in my SKU, and here's an example of it. Example SKU up there. I want to add list date. It really helps because you don't want to create duplicate SKUs. Your SKUs they have to be unique. And then I want to add SKU tag, which I'll talk about this later on when I create the batch. And then I want to add counter. So with all of these in there, this will make sure you don't create duplicate SKUs. And this counter is going to keep going up as you list. And then all of this are done. Make sure you click on save. I'm not doing that because I don't want to save this. Now let's go ahead and create our first batch. Again, from the left side, we're going to click on new batch. And then looking at the batch name, I'm going to name it test so we don't end up actually using this batch in our warehouse. Then over the fulfilled by, we're keeping FBA. SKU preset is what we created. You see, we can choose different ones. Condition note, again, we talked about this. Shipping from is the address we selected under the setting. This is important. We're going to label by and prep by to seller. Packing type for most of you is going to be individual. So if you don't know what this is, keep it as individual. And for workflow type, we're going to stick to pack first. This is our unique way of creating the batch. Then go ahead and click on create batch. A brand new batch is going to open empty On this batch, on the first batch, we're going to talk about a few things real quick. On the right side, whatever you choose is going to be the default, meaning if I select the condition new and I start scanning, every single listing that is added here is going to be new condition. That's why we recommend people to pre-sort their books. So you would select, let's say, like new condition, you select your condition notes and you start scanning. You don't have to change the condition note, the condition or the condition notes for that stack. Then the rest of it is pretty straightforward. There's quantity, how many you're sending, the cost if you want to include it, optional. Then there's SKU tag. If you want to be even more cautious by not creating duplicate SKUs, even if you do, the application is going to stop you, but still, I recommend grabbing the last four digits of the batch and put it in here. When you do this, the software is going to automatically add that inside the SKU. Then there's the source. Because we selected source, it's going to be included in the SKU. There's default price. Is your pricing rule. We talked about this. Purchase date, expiration date. These are all standard inputs. Now, here's the box number. We're again, because we have this unique process, you're doing the box content on the same page you list your stuff. This makes things a whole lot faster. We're going to select box number one, and here, before we continue, I want to explain something. You have two options when you create when you create your FBA batches. You can either follow our two batch process if you do not have Robo Scout, which we have a separate video on that, which would require you to create two batches. It's still much faster than any process out there. Or you can use our instant FBA label feature. Basically, anything you list on RoboScout would automatically get listed. You create a single batch, you select your box number here, and that's it. So we're just going to go over, in case you do have the instant FBA label feature, you do have the RoboScout software. So we did all of that, and there's another video on goes over how the instant FBA label works. Imagine we have done that. So now we're going to click on replenishment mode, auto replenishment, and then I'm going to click on auto print FNSKU. I'm leaving this off because I don't want the printer to go off, but you would leave that on. And then either the other toggles, you can hover over them. It tells you what they are. But for now, you're good. You can just start with replenishment. So I'm going to scan the first item in here. I don't have a scanner with me, but this is the simulation. I scan it. A label should print automatically. And the first scan is usually slower than others, so don't get alarmed. And I'm going to actually showcase this. The second scan is always faster than the first one, and you do not have to wait for the scans to complete. You can keep scanning. This is another feature we got. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you had auto print enabled here, a label would print as you go. Going over a few of the features for each scan. As you see, when I hover over different fields, the ones that go green means that I can click on them and edit them. And for example, and the price one is the important one. It's the pricing tab, the most comprehensive pricing page on the market. The only software that gives you the real used buy box. As you know, Amazon has changed a lot of stuff. Double clicking on any of these prices would set the price and close the page for the fastest workflow possible instead of you typing it in. And here's the keep a graph down here. And then yeah, and then one last thing is the box number. The box number is the box content that we talked about here, and you can easily change it. And unlike other software that you might scan 20 boxes and then a glitch happens, all the data is gone, over here that's impossible. You always have your box content data saved. And also, I forgot to mention this one. You click here, as you go, you can enter the box information. The box information is also saved. And what else? One last thing is the rank. Again, unlike other software, we give you the current rank and also the average 6-month rank. Yep. So it's just This is just to wrap up, and still recommend you to go ahead and watch either the two batch process video or the instant FBA label video. I just wanted to go quickly over how to create a first batch, simple, and how to set up your settings. I hope that was helpful. Keep in mind, we have a live chat, we have a Discord community. Ask for help. We're here to help you out. Take care.